market mania, and he's already ranted.
Yeah, I know him. I'm trying to get him on the show, but he don't respond.
He's ranting about like their GDP. So it's not about this graph. Everybody's seen it to death already, but he's talking about the failing government over the last 10 years and how we voted them in again and all that. But now this next couple minutes is a great rant.
Over and look at is this, which is Canada ranked almost dead last in growing GDP per person from 2014 to 2022. So just imagine if Canada voted in the same people who presided over this. Oh, wait, they actually did. Just so stupid, isn't it, when you think about it? It's just doing the same thing, expecting a different result. I mean, Carney is literally just the front man. All the other people behind him are exactly the same. So how can anybody say that this government is going to be any different? I mean, it's just hilarious. So if you look where Canada is, it's right behind even Japan. Yes, that's Japan that still hasn't recovered from 2 lost decades in a real estate bubble. And Canada is right behind it. Not in front of it. So it just shows you what's going on. And then
it's worth, you can hit spacebar. It's worth mentioning that Japan got like fucking burned off the earth at the end of World War II too.
Right. I didn't realize I left so much of that other clip in there. I didn't really want to go there again because it's been talked about too much. But here we get into the better stuff.
Grim retail sales underbelly points to Bank of Canada restarting rate cuts, say economists. And this is the thing. They think the interest rate cuts are going to save everybody. It's just absolutely hilarious. I mean, it is not the case at all that will happen. I mean, carrying debt becomes less expensive and people are more likely then to pile on more debt, but that's not a net positive for your economy in the long run. It's a net negative, and it doesn't actually make anything better at all, as we saw during the pandemic. In fact, it made things a lot worse in the long run, and we're seeing that play out right now. But again, we're just going to repeat the same thing and expect a different result. This is obvious. The economics that people want is just repeating the same thing, just complete insanity, literal complete insanity by Albert Einstein's standards. So it's just absolutely crazy. And then, of course, wanted to show you this because this is just hilarious. So Canadian GDP shows huge growth, but 80% is now government.
Can you imagine that? I was going to ask you what the percentage was, but I mean, 80% of our GDP growth.
On the surface, Canada's economy is ripping higher. This was last year, remember. Annual real GDP growth climbed to 2.1% in Q2 2024, higher than the consensus estimate.
So 100, like exactly a year ago.
Follows 1.8% growth in Q1, which saw an upward revision from 1.7% originally reported. By itself, this sounds like the economy is just booming. Heck, it even beat expectations, but most readers likely noticed it didn't keep up with the population. When adjusted for the population, the picture isn't so rosy. Real GDP per capita declined 0.1% in Q2 2024, with StatCan noting it was the 5th consecutive decline. Per capita growth fell in 7 out of the 8 past quarters, marking a recession by some definitions. And this is the key thing here. Canada is already in a recession. The fact is that, yes, they haven't come out and said you're in a technical recession, but they don't have to anymore.
Look at this graph. Canadian per capita GDP. Not that I even agree with the GDP in general. I mean, I think it's a pretty bogus measurement. I just can't argue against it right now. I haven't done all that research again, but I mean, it's what we're using, right? It's still a comparative measurement for other countries, and at least, like, you know, I think in this case, it kind of highlights the problem. But this is that one in the end of 2023 there, or Q1 2023. And then look at all the negatives. I mean, that's crazy.
Because the government could just come out and spend more money or try and import more desperate people into Canada in order to rejuvenate their voting base, because that's working a freaking treat. I mean, just look at what happened with the last election. So it really shows where Canada is, this. And this, just think about it. Real GDP per capita, that ain't even accurate. So when you're looking at this, I mean, it's another government metric, right? This comes from Statistics Canada. But bear in in mind, wealth inequality has moved so far apart since the pandemic. You basically have the 10%, the top 10% in Canada, having most the wealth and most the growth of their income, whilst everybody else is just getting utterly obliterated and destroyed. I mean, that is the reality of what is going on in the Canadian economy. And that is why things are so bad. It's really only the people who are at the very top, who are on a pile of cash, most likely generated by the housing bubble, who are most likely in their 60s or in their 70s, that actually are getting by okay. And even they don't realize they're about to be absolutely screwed over by the government.
All right, that's enough of that guy. Good one though, but I mean, have you seen the voting results by age group? It was pretty much what we thought. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
actually, I think the young ones were with the boomers. I think there was a weird like schism where the young, really young, were with the boomers, and then the Gen Z and Gen X, or millennials and Gen X, sorry, were together.
The one I seen, it was just like under 55 was basically overwhelmingly conservative.
Yeah.